Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'd ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Here.
Councilmember Sears is absent. Councilmember Wirtz. Here. Councilmember Zimmer.
Here.
Councilmember Dewey.
Here.
Councilmember Gibbons. Here. Councilmember Lizzo. Here.
Thank you. We will go straight to our public hearing for tonight, which is a request for special use permit and site plan amendments for Emil Fry and Associates, 1017 West Adams Avenue, for an addition to the studio. Mr. Hessel, do you wish to enter any exhibits into the record?
I would love to, Mayor. Exhibit one.
I can just tell.
Exhibit one is an affidavit of publication verifying notice of public hearing appeared in the St. Louis County. Exhibit two is the affidavit of publication verifying notice of public hearing appeared in the Webster Kirkwood Times. Exhibit three is a list of property owners to whom notice of this hearing has been sent. Exhibit four is a viewer map showing the property that is the subject of the public hearing, as well as those property owners who received notice. Exhibit five is a memorandum from Amy Lowry to the Planning and Zoning Commission dated February 7, 2024, in which the staff recommended approval of the special use permit amendment, expansion of a non-conforming use, art studio, and amended site plan review for Emil Fry Stained Glass Studio. Exhibit six is the report of the Planning and Zoning Commission dated February 8, 2024, which by a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of special use permit and site plan amendments for Emil Fry and Associates, 1017 West Adams Avenue, for an addition to the studio built in 2021. Public hearing before the city council is requested. And exhibit 7 is a code of ordinances of the city of Kirkwood.
John, Mr. Hawes, who will present this to the council?
That would be City Planner 2, Amy Lowry, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Maybe you can you advance them for me? That'd be great. Thank you. So this is a request for a special use permit amendment, amended site plan review for expansion of a non-conforming use for a stained glass studio at 1017 West Adams. This property is zoned R1, single family residential. Give you an overhead view of the site. It's a 2.3 acre site with a shared drive with 1021 West Adams. Emil Fry has operated a liturgical art studio on this property for decades. In 2014, the use of the property as both a residence and a studio for the production of stained glass, mosaics, and related items was determined to be a non-conforming use. Just a little bit more up to zoomed in version of aerial view of the property with the original. You know what? I think maybe my batteries are out on this is the problem. So we'll just move on without that. Anyway, with if you can go back one slide, shows the original house that's on the property and then the studio that was built in 2021, as well as a new parking lot. And then we have some photos of the studio built in 2021. And then the next slide is the previous approved site plan. In 2019, the city had approved two expansions of the studio, and one of them, the one on the northwest, was not built. So subsequent to all the council approvals, what was built, if you go to the next slide, you can see the original studio and then a smaller studio to the northwest of that. And then immediately west of that is what is the subject of this application. So the studio built in 2021 was 3,442 square feet, and the existing house is 1,974 square feet. So with this new application, they want to build an addition to the other studio, the one that was built in 2021, but it's just 2/3 the size of what was previously approved by the mayor and council. So the total on the property will be 8,116 square feet in residences, office, studio, and warehouse space. And go to the next slide, just a view of the floor plan. And the next slide was a view of the elevations that will need to be approved by the Architecture Review Board. Next slide is the landscape plan, which meets our code. And then finally, the lighting plan, which is hard to see, but it also meets our code. So there were previous conditions of note, if you go to the next slide, in the two ordinances that were approved previously on this site. And those conditions were that this was limited to stained glass, mosaics, and similar art studio uses. The special use permit is non-transferable. The buildings, new buildings are not to be used for residential use. The maximum on-site employees is 20 with the shared parking agreement with the other property that Fry owns. The hours of operation are from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. with all activity conducted within the buildings. And then there was a variance for the lighting to be lower than the minimum illumination levels under the code. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of this with the same conditions as in the previous approvals.
Very good. Thank you, Amy. Does the applicant, do you know if the applicant wishes to say anything? You don't have to, but you're welcome to. Yeah.
My name is Aaron Fry. I am the president of Emil Fry and Associates Stained Glass, and I have the pleasure of having met many of you. Basically, this is something that allows us to continue to practice an art and a medium that I think services the entire nation, but also especially Kirkwood. A lot of our projects are dealing with the great collection of churches we have here, of which we've done pretty much all of them. So we've been a stalwart in the Kirkwood community. I love this. We're parishioners at St. Peter's, and my family's been here. I live on the property that my great grandfather built, bought in the 1930s. So we have our plans is to continue that for another couple generations. We've had been, as more and more stained glass studios kind of close the doors, we find ourselves with more and more work. And this has kind of pressured us to have more space on the campus, which is the whole impetus for this project. And, you know, the building is the easiest process. The discovery of competent craftsmen is the harder thing. So that's not your concern, that's ours. But this certainly goes a very, very long way in allowing for that to happen. So, I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but I know you probably have a lot on your docket, so I don't want to waste your time either. But if you know my dad, Steve Fry, he will talk your ear off. If you have any questions, you can direct them to him. I'd say God bless you on that, and don't just brace yourself. So anyway.
You are much more brief than your dad was when he was here last time. Steve, come on.
I know. Well, believe it or not, I rein him in for you guys. Anyway, so yeah.
Great, thank you. Do we have any council questions at all?
Other than it's really lovely to see you again, and it's always fine when your dad is here. It always is, yeah, always, yeah. So thanks for doing all you're doing, because I haven't been there since last you came here, but man, what a lovely setup. So well
we would
done.
love actually to show you guys when we're done with the next phase too.
Yeah,
So
love to see it.
it's an open offer.
No questions. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well done.
Do we have any one from the audience wishing to speak?
Mayor and council, there are no requests for comment for the hearing.
Great, thank you, David. All right, so with that, the public hearing is closed, and we will have this item on for first reading at our next meeting, March 21st. Thank you. All right, we'll now go to public comments.
The comments portion of the meeting is an opportunity for the city council to listen to comments from citizens. It is not a question and answer session, and the city council will not respond to comments or answer questions during this period. The mayor may refer any matter brought up to the city council to the chief administrative officer or city clerk if action is needed.
Thank you. David, do we have anyone wishing to speak?
Mayor and council, there's a request for comment from David Anderson.
David Anderson, 521 Taylor Young Drive, Kirkwood. I'm here to representing our subdivision, U Vista subdivision, the roads Rayner and Taylor Young. Recently, we sold a lot, well, a year ago, and they started building with permission of Kirkwood, without permission of U Vista. We have bylaws set in the county, and we have restrictions on what you can build and how you can build it. And Kirkwood needs to make sure that if any building, outbuilding, pool, fence is built, is requested to be built in the U Vista subdivision, it needs the approval of the trustees of the U Vista subdivision before they can do anything. Otherwise, there's going to be a potential lawsuit.
Thank you.
Mayor and council.
And I sent 2 emails and I haven't gotten a response on this.
Mayor and council, there are no additional requests for comment.
Great. Thank you, David. We will move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Motion passes. We'll go to unfinished business, Bill 11024.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance appropriating $101,000 from the Park Improvement Fund to the Parks and Recreation Building and Site Improvement Account, project number PR 2402 for Kirkwood Aquatic Center, Leisure Pool and Lazy River sandblasting and painting.
Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz,
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer,
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey,
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons. Yes. Councilmember Lizzo.
Yes.
Bill passes. Go to new business, Bill 11026.
Mayor and council, this is an ordinance adopting and approving the operating and capital budgets for the city of Kirkwood for fiscal year April 1, 24 through March 31, 2025, and appropriating such fund sums as are set forth herein for all departments and the accounts therein specified for all expenditures of the city of such year, which appropriations total $123,417,819. Capital projects of $29,227,424, appropriating the sum of $199,350 for payment of principal for Performing Arts Center interfund loan from the general fund, and reappropriating $10,175,690 for previously approved projects that will be incomplete as of March 31, 2024.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
You got one? Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments from council? Who's going to want to speak? I'll go in order if more than one wants to speak. All right. Councilmember Lizzo.
Well, I just wanted to bring up the proposed water increase, and actually not so much the water increase, because we have so much that is infrastructure that needs capital projects in the water fund that need addressing. And we've had inflation that has impacted the cost of projects. We've also have a backlog of water main projects, and we have Park Pump One is going to be launching pretty soon with design and everything, and that is covered by the recent bond issue, the certificates of participation. My basic comment is not so much the rate increases that will over a 5-year period, including the current one, which was a 15% increase that council approved last year, but another 20%, I'm sorry, and 5% for 3 subsequent years. 50% with compounding, it's basically 60% increase. My thing is the transfer from the water fund of $710,000 to the capital fund, which we do need funds for street projects and other capital projects, but I feel like we really should be reconsidering the amount of that or reducing that so that that money can stay in the water fund and get some of our water mains replaced so we have fewer leaks. Right now, we have about $250,000 of water that we purchase from Missouri American Water that basically goes down the drain to sort of be hilarious about it. That coupled with the $710,000 transfer, that's about $1 million that's basically not going into the fund where it ought to be staying and doing good works and trying to attack all of the capital projects that nobody sees the water mains. They're all underground. You only see them when they're fountaining in the street. But I just want to bring up this whole topic so that to make sure that everyone is aware that the water fund, since about 2011 or so, has been transferring to the capital fund. And since 2015, 2016, it's been in about the $700,000 a year range. So I just want people to be aware of that fact. And that we do have rate increases coming up, which are on par with Missouri Americans' rates. So they're not totally ridiculous, but I just so that people know that this is on the horizon, the 20% increase and potentially $710,000 transfer from water to the capital fund is in this budget. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll briefly address, because you and I have always disagreed on this, and that's okay. That's okay. You know, the thing with the transfer is it goes into our capital fund. Okay, so we've got to when we can do it, there's no transfer this fiscal year, but there is, for next. I mean, it's taken the citizen-owned utility and taking funds from that, putting it back into the city. And if we weren't, which I think is the right thing to do, whether it's with electric, sanitation, or water, it's the citizen, it's the dividends that basically are there. And if we can't do that, then we've got to relook at things. So if we weren't to do the transfer, there's $710,000 that doesn't go into capital. And I mean, the only way we could make that up is by, going for a tax increase that we don't want to do. So I think and have always thought this is the prudent thing to do. And Russ and his staff look at it every year. And again, we're not doing it this year. So, I think it's good that we do it. And again, we disagree, and that's
We
okay.
can agree to disagree.
We
but-
agree to disagree, yeah.
But we are raising water rates
Well,
to
I don't, what,
allow that dividend. That's my thing.
we're raising rates because we probably haven't raised them enough to keep up over time. And
That
and I
too.
think the fear is always for all of us, which I think I won't be around. We have to get out of the mindset. This is a business. This is an enterprise that needs money to operate and serve the citizens. And if our rates were getting way out of whack, you mentioned with the Missouri American, I mean, then we'd have to look at it, but they're not. I mean, we're right there right now that we were way below for the last year, about $14 less than they needed to be. So we have a business and we have to run it, and we have to run it prudently. So Councilmember Wirtz, you had your hand up.
Probably just going to repeat everything you said, but in my own words. I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact that here in Kirkwood, we're lucky to have our own water department specifically. In our neighboring cities, they've been paying 35% more over the past 10 months, that we've been able to keep our rates low. And that's because we control that kind of stuff in here. And anything that they have that goes above and beyond goes to their shareholders. Ours goes right back into our own community. So yeah, that's just reiterating exactly what you said, but I just needed to get that off my chest.
Well, you can repeat everything I say all you want. That's okay.
Get used to it.
All right. Okay, anything else from council? Councilmember Zimmer?
Yeah, I would just, Nancy, I understand you're concerned about the transfer, and I get that. I think even without the transfer, we would be raising rates anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
The capital fund, we've talked a lot about grants, and the capital fund is what funds those grants. And when those grant projects come due, the bill comes due immediately. So we have to fund that account somehow. And if it's not from the transfers from water and sanitation, and from the capital tax, then we would have to do an interfund loan. I had a meeting with former director Sandy Stevens. I got her right before she retired. And, we talked about this. It's a difficult decision because we've got to have money in that account. If we don't have that, then all the grant projects that we want to do that we're excited about, we would have to find money somewhere else for it. So, and in regards to Missouri American, my guess is in the next 3 to 5 years, they're going to raise their rates again anyway. They're probably going to wind up higher than Kirkwood's anyway. So, I think having our rates on par with them is the right thing to do also. So,
Thank you.
that's it.
All right. Seeing nothing else from council, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 11027.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance approving the budget of the Special Business District for the fiscal year April 1, 2024 through March 31, 2025.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
No. Bill passes first reading. Bill 11028.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $11,516.40 from the Equitable Sharing Fund fund balance to the Police Department Small Capital Account and accepting the bid of Color Art Furniture in the amount of $11,516.40 pursuant to Omnia Partners cooperative contract for the purchase of 20 conference room chairs for the Police Department and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second.
Got a motion, and a second. Are any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
Say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 11029.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance appropriating $19,152 from the Capital Improvement Fund balance to the Fire Department Building and Site Improvements account and accepting the bid of Feather Shark in the amount of $19,151.16 for audio and visual equipment upgrades for the Fire Department Station Number 2 training room and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
I got a motion, or second? Got a motion, a second. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Gibbons?
I was really surprised that we have daily training in our fire department. I think that's really, I'd like to hear more about how often, how many hours, and what actually goes on with.
Well, I think you're in luck because we get the fire chief right here.
Oh, I didn't see, we have the chief and the assistant chief here.
We got both.
Wow.
Either they can tag.
They're
team
gonna
it if
tag
they like.
team, man.
What a day.
Good evening. So we take our mission for the city extremely seriously with 100% commitment. I demand 100% aggressiveness from my people to serve you for life and safety and for your property. But there's only one way to be aggressive and to be safely aggressive, and that is one, to have the resources available, two, being able to do your job and know your job. To be able to know your job in our business, which is a dual purpose, it's all hazard, it's hazmat, it's EMS, it's fire. We put hands-on training every day that we're there, at least two. So I have the training report from Chief Zeitz for February. It was 990 hours. That's just fire. That doesn't include EMS. So that's over two hours a day, not counting the EMS component, which is once, and then a lot of that is online training, which I don't have the records for. But that's accomplished by either going out and actually putting hands on the trucks, pulling hose lines, Sometimes, you know, when the weather's bad or when we do technical things, we'll go upstairs and we'll do a classroom session. But it's continuous. It's every day. We expect that of our people. And it's because you expect the best of us. And like I said, I demand that. And that's the only way to make that happen.
Thank you. It makes me feel so good to
Yeah.
have, that you guys have that ability to continually learn, and I'm all for.
Every year when I turned into Russ, our yearly report, I affirm that our people are the best and they're trained and they're ready to go. And I stand by that as the fire chief.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief. Councilmember Dewey.
Chief, just one more comment.
sorry, I
No,
wanted
no, 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 no. Also, thank you for doing all that because I want you all to be safe.
Well, thank you very much because I said there's numerous components. One is doing your job and the other is having the resources. And we wouldn't have the resources without your commitment and your support. So thank you very much.
But first of all, please be safe.
Thanks. All right. anything
don't wanna
else from
walk off with
council? Yeah.
I turned my back once.
Thank you.
Assistant Chief come up now and talk a little bit.
Really?
Hey,
Oh,
Brian.
one more, yeah, just, no.
Oh, all right, no, we're good. All right, seeing nothing further. Oh, okay, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Bill passes first reading. Bill 11030.
Mayor and Council, this is an ordinance adopting a revised City of Kirkwood classification and pay plan effective April 1, 2024.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
I've got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Councilmember Gibbons.
I just thought that maybe a little explanation about the fact that we had a study done, came back, and we're now adjusting based on what the study had to say and the comparators to other cities around us. And maybe Mr. Haas could give us a little bit more information.
Well, I think you just explained exactly what I would have said. But I'll expand just a bit on that. Yes, absolutely. We use comparators for all our different job titles. Because we have utilities, our comparators for utilities are sometimes different than the comparators for the rank and file police, fire, and typical public services that the city offers. But we do have 43 comparators approximately that across all the different job types and descriptions. And part of what we look at is competitiveness within the market. And it's very important in these changing times where the workforce environment is a bit different than what the normal was pre-COVID, that we be able to be strong in our recruitment and retainment as we go forward, and that we offer a competitive compensation and benefits package to all our employees. And that's what this is all about. And we recommended an approach here and City Council supported that, and that is now in the budget.
And didn't we find that we were at 55%?
Well, there are percentiles of where you occur in the data. We upped our range of percentile from where it was previously. That is correct.
And if, just so people know, had we been able to do higher, we would have. So I did and the council did consulted with Mr. Hawes on that to just see, can we raise that, percentile even higher? And he came back with, this is what we can do.
This is the
this year.
equilibrium with the positions that we have and the funding levels that we have. That is correct.
Absolutely. So, we would love to do more.
Mhm.
No question.
All right. Anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Litzo.
So, thank you, Russ and David, for doing this. It was not long after, we had the discussion about retirement benefits last October that I requested that we update our, compensation, information, because we hadn't had like a full comprehensive examination of personnel, compensation, benefits, wages and benefits since 2018, 2019. So we were kind of overdue. And talking about retirement benefits, wages are are the first part of it, and then retirement benefits are calculated based on those wages and any other benefits that might be predicated on wages. So I thought it was important that we take a look at, because some were saying that we were not paying well at all, and I just wanted to see where exactly did we stand. I think it was in 2014, I was on council. Council decided, because of whatever financial constraints, to go with the 55th percentile, so a little bit over half, which, I mean, I think we have an excellent staff, so it did serve us well, but I think with all of the economic challenges and labor force changes because of the pandemic, just a whole variety of things, that it's important that we take a look at and see what we can do to help recruit and recruit high quality new employees and retain all of our high quality employees that we already have. So I appreciate Russ and David for doing this, and I look forward to seeing all the data based on this. But the changes of bumping from the 55th percentile to the 65th percentile, along with adjusting upward the retirement or the deferred compensation, which is a form of retirement benefits, where the city is putting in an additional 1% with an employee 1% match. So that'll result in an additional 2% going towards retirement. So it definitely helps with retirees' retirement accounts. So, and total of about $243,000 will be the impact this year of the increases. That's all.
Okay. Anything else from council? Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Hawes, looking at the sheet, and I know that we had talked, a lot of these have the pay grade percentages, and we've gone from 55 to 65 overall. As far as police and fire, I'm looking at the sheets here, and they've got the different columns here. Did we ever determine where these rates fall as far as the percentages comparing to other municipalities? Are we at 65%? Are we at 70%? What information, if any, do we have on that?
Well, what you have before you falls at the 65th percentile overall.
I know in the last work session, I had asked about 70%, and as you just mentioned, Mayor, that 65 is all that we have. Is there, there's no other room for adjustment at this point?
Not that we've been able to identify. If city council wants us to cut something from the budget in order to accomplish that, there's a second reading still to come.
All right, thank you.
All right, anything else from council? All right, seeing nothing, all in favor of first reading, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Bill passes first reading. We'll go to resolution 32-2024.
Mayor and council, this is a resolution accepting the proposal of Veta Racket Sports Concord for Racket Sports Program Director Services for an initial term of 12 months with an option to renew for up to 4 additional 12-month terms, and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 33-2024.
Mayor and council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of Urban SDK in the amount of $24,500 pursuant to a GSA cooperative contract for the purchase of speed data package and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Questions or comments? Councilmember Wertz.
Okay. I I just want to comment that, I think everyone up here gets complaints from residents of the speeding issues, right? It doesn't matter what neighborhood you live in, what street you're on, people who are shopping. And it's not just a Kirkwood issue, right? This is a national issue that's made our streets more dangerous for everyone using them. Something like this allows us as a city to gather data in an equitable and widespread method that then hopefully will drive the true change in a way that isn't just piecemealing the fix, right? You're looking at it from the top and getting the data we need to make the decisions to ensure that what we do is effective and helps kind of this concern that I think we all agree is a big deal here. So that's all. Thanks.
Okay. I saw another hand over here. Was there?
Did you have your hand up, Liz?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Councilmember Gibbons, go ahead.
I
I'm
just,
last today
okay,
for some reason.
because you talk so much.
Oh.
I thought it was because the mayor I'm not his favorite.
I was
No.
just kidding. I was just kidding. Did I read, we will get monthly data? Is that correct?
I believe it's, well, I can have Chris come up, if he's most familiar with this particular proposal.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Yeah, it is, we'll get monthly data as well as we can get data from the last 13 months for every street in Kirkwood. And I brought Eric with me. He's from the company. Was a Kirkwood resident growing up, so he's now relocated to Kansas City, but wanted to bring him if he had any.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members for having me today, pardon me, this evening. But to further elaborate on that, you'd asked about monthly data, right? So this is telematic data being populated on every single roadway throughout the jurisdictional boundary of the city of Kirkwood, Missouri. So when we talk about not just speeds, we're also providing you with volumes data. So as calls to action and concerns come in from the public, we're able to adequately respond to that in real time in a matter of 2 minutes and understand that if those roadways, depending on the time of the day and the day of the week, within that monthly output, meet our criteria, to then take further action, whether that be involving temporary traffic calming measures, such as the local PD, or maybe even permanent measures, right? Maybe the volume is within a certain threshold for us to then take action, such as implementing street signs or striping or narrowing the roadway, so on and so forth, and getting to that greater good again within a matter of moments.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you.
I was just so really shocked to learn that it's all with our cell phones and that no personal data is being provided. But when I drive down the street, somebody's going to know how fast I'm going somewhere.
Oh, that's
Yes, ma'am.
good. Yeah, check, watch her.
I
Watch
drive
her.
slowly.
And just to clarify, this is telematic data coming from GPS-enabled smart vehicles. So anything that comes off of the assembly line that has navigational services packaged in, OnStar, or your vehicle has Apple CarPlay or Waze enabled, and your phone is actually plugged into that vehicle, that's the information we're populating. It's not going to be folks on the street walking down trying to get to, Dewey's Pizza. It's not going to be folks that are on their bicycle trying to get, to the Kirkwood Ice Rink. It's only those connected vehicles.
So if you're not connected, then it won't show up. Just your phone in the car isn't enough. You have to be connected.
Correct. A connected vehicle. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else from council? Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Seeing nothing further, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 34, 2024.
Mayor and council, this is a resolution accepting the bid of Ozark Building Materials at the rates provided in the memo, a copy of which attached here to and incorporated by reference herein, for ready-mix concrete with the street department for an initial term of 12 months, with the option to renew for up to 4 additional 12-month terms, pending budgetary approval and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second? A motion, a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 35, 2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution amending the contract with CLC Engineering LLC by increasing the amount by $55,683, which includes a contingency of $7,263 for a not-to-exceed amount of $158,421 for professional design services for the Sugar Creek Substation and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an amended contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion.
We got a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 36, 2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the proposal of Voltus Incorporated in the amount not to exceed of $1,198,020 for the purchase of short-term capacity for the electric department for the MISO planning years 2025-26 and 2026-27, pending budgetary approval, and authorizing and directing the Director of Procurement to issue a purchase order.
Is there, excuse me, is there a motion for approval?
Motion.
Is there a And a motion is second. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Resolution 37, 2024.
Mayor and Council, this is a resolution accepting the proposal of Hydrodynamics Corporation in the amount of $12,350 plus $149 per hour for time and costs for additional materials, pending budgetary approval, for the relocation of the mainline irrigation system along the Memorial Walkway and authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract.
Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
We got a motion, a second. Are there questions or comments? Councilmember Gibbons?
I just wonder if we have any kind of idea of how many hours we're talking.
I don't have an answer for that at this point.
Okay,
Hold on one second.
kind of open-ended.
Well, I know that we have a horticulturalist and an engineering group that watch very carefully to make sure that the jobs are being done correctly on all city projects. We have that oversight of contractors always, and I don't expect that we would have an inordinate number of hours in replacing the irrigation. I'm sure that it's going to be a reasonable amount at the rate that it was proposed, and that's what you're approving.
Okay. All right, seeing nothing further, roll call, please.
Mayor Griffin?
Yes.
Councilmember Wertz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Councilmember Dewey?
Yes.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Lizzo?
Yes.
Resolution passes. City council reports. Anyone have anything? Councilmember Lizzo.
So I'm the council liaison to the Urban Forestry Commission. I've had the privilege of overseeing that from the council's perspective. And I want to thank City Forester Corey Meyer, who's, I believe his last day is tomorrow. He's going on to bigger and better things. I'm I don't remember when Corey was hired. But I do want to commend him for all of the time, effort, expertise that he's dedicated to this, to our urban canopy and our citizens in this Tree City, USA of Kirkwood, Missouri. Under his watchful eye, we've got a tree master plan, a revised tree ordinance. He's supervised electric line clearance and hazardous tree removal, which has resulted in a reduction in the amount of outages during storms. He's also been very active in organizing Arbor Day event and expanding that whole thing, working with the citizen volunteer group of 50 trees to continue their tree planting campaign. Corey's been great, and I just want to wish him well in his next pursuits.
Councilmember Gibbons?
Well, I'm on the liaison to the library board, and if you noticed some large posts being put up at the YMCA, it's because the library's putting up a new storyboard for children to walk along and read a book, which has been very popular in Kirkwood Park, and now Kirkwood's going to have a second one. So I think that's kind of fun, exciting for our kids.
All right. Nothing else from council. Chief Administrative Officer report.
I have nothing to report at this time, Mayor.
All right. City Attorney report.
I have nothing to report, Mayor, but I do want to respond to Mr. Anderson's request that the city become involved in the enforcement of homeowners' regulations and restrictions, and remind the city council, city staff, and I guess inform Mr. Anderson that the city has no authority whatsoever to enforce private property regulations. It's analogous to two individuals entering into a contract, and if there's a dispute about that contract, the city does not get involved in that dispute whatsoever. I give that advice not only as a city attorney, but I've represented a lot of different homeowners associations throughout my career, and have emphasized to the homeowners association when they're adopting those bylaws, they need to understand and appreciate that they have to enforce their own bylaws, and they have to enforce them uniformly. There's a lot of different bylaws that exist for various subdivisions, and it's up to each individual subdivision to enforce their own bylaws. The city of Kirkwood has no authority whatsoever to enforce those regulations. And in fact, over the years, we've encountered situations where the homeowner's bylaws conflict with the city codes. We'll enforce the city codes and our regulations, but we cannot get in the middle of a dispute between a property owner, whether it's property owner who put up a basketball net and hoop, when that's restricted, or adopting any kinds of regulations associated with the homes that are being built there. That's up to them to enforce their own regulations. And I'm sure Mr. Anderson and my friends over off Rayner Road probably won't like what I'm telling them, but that's the facts and that's the law as enforced in Missouri.
Thank you, John. City Clerk report.
Yes, Your Honor. I have the report of the February 21st, 2024 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The following action was taken. By a vote of 6-2, the commission recommended denial of an application for a major subdivision preliminary plat, 2-lot split at 1956 Westview Avenue. The applicant seeks approval with modification from the required rear yard setback for an existing house to remain on the property. It says a public meeting before the city council is requested. That would just be legislation. After discussion of a staff-initiated zoning text amendment to add hours of operation to the use-specific standards for the personal and commercial service use in the B1 zoning district, the commission voted to continue the matter to the next meeting on March 20th. And if I may, I would like to congratulate our city attorney, John Hessel, on the birth of his granddaughter.
Oh, thank you.
Laura Kate, who our communications manager, Catherine Hessel, is John's daughter, who recently just gave birth to his granddaughter. So I wanted to congratulate him.
Thanh you very much. You
On
want
that?
me to show you a whole bunch of pictures?
We would love that. Yes, we would love that.
I have a few, but I won't bore you with it. Thank you, Lori.
And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Next meeting of the city council will be 2 weeks from tonight, 7 p.m. on March 21st. This meeting is adjourned.
That's mine.
I assume.